this is how I would normally teach cells, but I'm not here, so I'm going to go over kind of the lecture that I go over. These are the cells that you will be quizzed over, that you'll find in the test. Is we're going to take a look at these two cells. Plant cell, it tends to have more structure, but again, it's a model, okay? There are some animal cells that are, notice the animal cell has a different form of structure, kind of more of a fluid structure. This is more rigid, and that's true because the cells have a cell wall right here. That's the green right here. The plant cells have a cell wall. The animal cells do not have a cell wall. They both have cell membranes. That's what the black lines are, cell membranes or membranes. Sometimes they call them plasma membranes when it goes around. Cell membranes goes around the entire cell. And if you look at each one of these organelles, there's a membrane around all of these because in a eukaryotic cell, you have membrane-bound organelles. In a prokaryotic cell, there are no membrane-bound organelles. Everything is free-floating. All right, so this is the plant cell, and this is the animal cell. Now, we have some animal cells that are very square. In fact, most of the cells that you find in your muscles are relatively rectangular. So depending on where you find your cells, they're going to be different shapes in an animal. That's also true in a plant. But we're going to look at just like a model of a plant cell. All right, I'm going to go through the organelles, and I'm going to give you basically a two-word function for the organelles. Now, when you read your book, it talks about lots of different things they do, but I want you to remember the two functions, all right? Let's look at the first thing. That's the nucleus. This is the nucleus for the plant cell. Notice it's squished over to the side. Why? Because the vacuole, which is this big thing, is really large. In fact, it's even larger than this. It fills up almost the entire cell, and it squishes all of the organelles off to the side. Why? Because this stores water, and it is for storage of water and support because it's so huge in the plant cell. Okay? The nucleus holds your life information. Holds life information. The chromosomes contain DNA. The nuclear membrane is the gatekeeper to the nucleus. And the nucleolus makes ribosomes. So what are ribosomes? The ribosomes on these cells are these little square things. Let me show you close up. This is what they look like. Those are the ribosomes. That's what we're using for ribosomes. Ribosomes, the function of ribosomes is to make protein. And that's true whether they're here or in a prokaryotic cell or here in an animal cell. I told you this is a big vacuole, and the vacuole in the plant cell is for storage of water and support. That's not true in the animal cell, but it also provides support. When a plant wilts, what happens is the water goes out of this and it squeezes up together, and the plant and the cell collapses and wilts. All right, cell wall right here is the green is for structure and support of the plant. Structure and support, that's the function. Cell wall. The cell membrane, or plasma membrane, which is the black, is the gatekeeper to the cell. Function. All right? Now we're looking at two things that are that form the cytoskeleton in a cell. This is a microtubule, and this is a microfilament, which is just gray yarn. What both of them do, the function for both of those, is transportation and movement. Transportation and movement. So you have, and they actually stretch across the cell. I mean, the microtubules aren't all gathered up in one place. They actually stretch across the cell. The microtubules, remember microtubules, and the gray is the microfilaments. Those form the cytoskeleton of the cell. I think the other thing that you're going to find in both cells is called a mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria makes energy. The mitochondria, notice, has its own nucleus. It makes energy. It takes glucose and turns it into energy that the cell needs. In a plant cell, you don't have this in an animal cell, you also have a chloroplast. A chloroplast takes energy from the sun and makes food. So its function in a plant cell is to make food. Notice it has its own nucleus too. There are only two organelles that have their own nucleus, the chloroplast and the mitochondria. You have endoplasmic reticulum. You have smooth and rough. I'll show you the difference between the two. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum has no ribosomes on it. Rough has ribosomes. So, what endoplasmic reticulum does is transport and change materials, and rough endoplasmic reticulum transports, changes, and makes proteins. All right? So, both of them change and transport materials. That's what they do. Change and transport. This one does it with proteins because it has ribosomes on it, and ribosomes make proteins. The Golgi body. This is a Golgi body. They tend to circle around the nucleus, but I don't have mine circulating around the nucleus. It's a multi-layered thing. It basically transports and ships materials. Transports and ships materials. Okay. Lots of times I call it the UPS of the cell. So let's look at an animal cell. A lysosome has little dots, the vacuole with little dots, because it digests material. They used to think plant cells did not have lysosomes, but they do. They probably don't have as many because animals have to eat lots of different things, so they have to digest lots of different things. So a vacuole, a lysosome is just a vacuole with digestive enzymes in it, so they call it a lysosome because its function is to digest material. Centrioles, that's their function. Centrioles allow for cell division. So when a cell, plant cells also have to do that, but they don't have centrioles because they use their cell wall to embed those spindle fibers in to pull the chromosomes apart. You have vacuoles here, which are membrane-bound organelles, much closer, all right? But they have no dots in them. So, and you have lots of vacuoles. They store material. They store material. But remember, the vacuole in the plant cell stores water and it provides structure. That's not true for these vacuoles. They just store material. Lots of times they store water, but that's it.